diversas. In English, it means until different. Is a papal bull issued on the 18th of June, 1452 by Pope Nicholas V. It authorized Alfonso V of Portugal to conquer Saracens and pagans and consign them to perpetual servitude. Pope Calixtus III reiterated the bull in 1456 with Intera Terra, not to be confused with Alexander VI's, renewed by Pope Sixtus IV in 1481, and Pope Leo X in 1514, with the precise denotationists. The concept of the consignment of exclusive spheres of influence to certain nation-states were extended to the Americas in 1493 by Pope Alexander VI with Intera Terra. Picture. We got a picture of Pope Nicholas. We got Pope Alfonso V of Portugal. Let's see. Saracen. Let's see who these Saracens is. Saracens was a term widely used among Christian writers in Europe during the Middle Ages. The term meaning involved during its history in the early century CE. Greek and Latin writings used this term to refer to the people who lived in desert areas in and near the Roman province of Arabia, and who were specifically distinguished as a people from others known as Arabs. In Europe during the early medieval era, the term came to be associated with Arab tribes as well. By the 12th century, Saracen had become synonymous with Muslim in medieval Latin literature. Such expansion is the meaning of the term had begun centuries earlier among the Byzantine Romans, as evidenced in documents from the 8th century. In Western language before the 16th century, Saracens was commonly used to refer to Muslim Arabs, and the words Muslim and Islam are generally not used, with a few isolated exceptions. Saracen. A depiction of the Saracens in the 15th century without woodcut. And what's a pagan? Pagan. Redirect. Paganism. Speaking. Pagan religion. Pagan. Well, do some diggy way. Okay. Paganism is a term that arose amongst the Christian community of Southern Europe during the late antiquity to describe religions other than their own, Judaism or Islam, the three Abrahamic religions. That's only two right there. The three Abrahamic religions. There has been much scholarly argument as to the origin of the term paganism. Once the Abrahamic religion started to become more widely adopted in the process known as Christianization and Islamization, various names to describe those who did not adhere to them started to develop. Some of these included Hellene pagans and heathens. At the time, these names were used as slurs. In the 19th century, paganism was adopted as a self-descriptor by members of various artist groups inspired by the ancient world. In the 20th century, it came to be applied as a self-description by practitioners of contemporary pagan or neo-pagan religious movement. While most pagan religions express a worldview that is panatheist, polytheist, or animistic, there are some monotheistic pagans. Contemporarily known knowledge of old pagan religions come from the several sources, including anthropological field research records, the evidence of archaeological artifacts, and the historical accounts of ancient writings regarding cultures known to the classical world. Forms of these religions, influenced by various historical pagan beliefs of pre-modern Europe, exist today and are known as contemporary or modern paganism, also referred to as neo-paganism. Okay, let's go into the background. Diversas. By the summer of 1452, Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II had completed the Romelistan fortress on the western or European side of the Bosphorus, located several miles north of Constantinople. It commanded the narrowest part of the Bosphorus. Byzantine Empire Constantine the 11th wrote to Pope Nicholas for help. Issued less than a year. Go back to that. Located several miles north of Constantinople, it commanded the narrowest part of the Bosphorus. Byzantine Emperor Constantine the 11th wrote to Pope Nicholas for help. Issued less than a year before the fall of Constantinople in 1453. The bull may have been intended to begin another crusade against the Ottoman Empire. Nicholas V's nephew, Locus Notaris, was Magus Dux of the Byzantine Empire. It was not until Alfonso V of Portugal responded to a papal call for aid against the Turks that Pope Nicholas V agreed to support Portuguese claim regarding territory in Africa. Although some troops did arrive from the mercantile city-states in the north of Italy, Pope Nicholas did not have the influence the Byzantines thought he had over the Western kings and princes. France and England were both weakened by the 100 Years' War, and Spain was still engaged in conflict with Islamic strongholds in Iberia. Any Western contributions was not adequate to counterbalance Ottoman strength. In the mid-15th century, Portugal, the ideal of chivalric honor and crusading were seen as the path for ambition and success. During the reign of Alfonso V, the Portuguese nobility enjoyed great influence and prestige, and for several decades the House of Bragança was the wealthiest and most influential force in the kingdom. In 1415, the wisdom and justice of an attack on Morocco had to be seriously weighed, but during the reign of Alfonso V and for the century following, such enterprise were accepted and as justifying crusades for religious chivalry and honor. The raid and attack of the Reconquista created captives on both sides, who were either ransomed or sold as slaves. The Portuguese crown extended this to North Africa after the attack of Quito. The king sought papal recognition of it as a crusade. Similarly, after the 1441 attack of Mauritania, the crown again sought after the fact. Papal acknowledgement that this was a part of a just conflict. Such a determination would then indicate that those captured could legitimately be sold as slaves. Let's go back up and say, let's look at I did a papal bull. Pope Nicholas, we see him. Pope Alfonso. So let's look to Portugal. Portugal. This is their national flag right here. This is their coat of arms. It says Portugal. Officially, the Portuguese Republic, is a country on the Iberian Peninsula in southwestern Europe. It is the westernmost country of mainland Europe, being bordered by the Atlantic Ocean to the west and south, and by Spain to the north and east. The Portugal-Spain border is 1,214 kilometers, 754 miles long, and considered the longest uninterrupted border within the European Union. The Republic also includes the Atlantic archipelago of the Azores and Madeira, both autonomous regions with their own regional government. Autonomous means self-ruling. The territory of modern Portugal has been continuously settled, invaded, and fought over since prehistoric times. The pre-Celts, Venetians, Carthaginians, and the Romans were followed by the invasion of the Visigoths and the Subi-Germanic people. In 711, the Iberian Peninsula was invaded by the Moors. 711. And for the following centuries, Portugal would be part of Muslims Al-Andalus. Portugal was born as a result of the Christian Reconquista. In 1139, Afonso Henriques was proclaimed King of Portugal, thus firmly establishing Portuguese independence under the Portuguese House of Burgundy. In the 15th and 16th century, under the House of Aviz, which took power following the 1383-1885 interregnum, Portugal expanded western influences and established the first global empire, becoming one of the world's major economic, political, and military powers. During this time, Portuguese explorers pioneered maritime exploration in the ages of discovery, notably under royal patronage of Prince Henry the Navigator and King João II. with such notable discoveries as Vasco da Gama Sea, the Gama Sea route to India, Pedro Alvarez Cabral discovery of Brazil in the 1500s. Okay, there we go. And Bartholomew Diaz reaching the Cape of Good Hope. Portugal monopolized the spice trade during this time under the royal command of the Casa da India, and the Portuguese Empire expanded with military campaigns led in Asia, notably under Alfonso de Albuquerque, who was known as Caesar of the East. The destruction of Lisbon in 1755 earthquake, the country's occupation during the Napoleonic Wars, the independence of Brazil, 1822, and Liberal Wars, 1828 to 1834, all left Portugal crippled from the war and diminished in its world power. After the 1910 revolution disposed the monarchy, the democratic but unstable Portuguese First Republic was established, later being superseded by Estado Novo, right-wing authoritarian regime. Democracy restored after the Portuguese Colonial War and the Carnation Revolution in 1974. Shortly after, independence was granted to all its colonies and East Timor, with the exception of Macau, which was handed over to China in 1999. This marked the end of the longest-lived European colonial empire, leaving a profound cultural and architectural influence across the globe, a legacy of over 250 million Portuguese-speaking people today. Portugal is a developed country with a high income, advanced economy, and high living standards. It is the fifth most peaceful country in the world, maintaining an unitary, semi-presidential republican form of government. It has the 18th highest social progress in the world, putting it ahead of other Western European countries like France, Spain, Italy. A founding member of NATO and a community of Portuguese language countries. It is also a member of numerous other international organizations, including the United Nations, the European Union, the Eurozone, the OECD. Portugal is also known for having criminalized the use of all common drugs in 2001. The first country in the world to do so. However, the sales and distribution of these drugs is still illegal in Portugal. Content. So let me go back. I'm sorry. So we did. Portugal, Saracens and pagans. Pope Calixtus III. Here we go. This is what he looked like. Born April the 8th, 1455. Now he began his papacy in 1455. He ended in 1453. Okay, Pope Calixtus III. Pope Calixtus III, or Calixtus III, born December 31st, 1378, and died August 6th, 1458. Born Alphonse de Borgia, was Pope from April 8, 1455 to his death in 1458. He was the last Pope to take the pontifical name of Calixtus upon his election. He was also responsible for the retrial of Joan of Arc that saw her vindicated. A member of the Borgia family, Calixtus III was the uncle of Pope Alexander VI. Okay, well, now you know Alfonso de Borgia. He is the father of Caesar Borgia. The one we get as a picture of Jesus Christ. Alfonso de Borgia was born in Torretta in 1378. Torretta was at the time in the Signorio di Torre de Canals, but now a neighborhood of canals in Valencia. At the time he was born in the Kingdom of Valencia, under the crown of Aragon. He was the son of Domingo de Borgia and Francina Lanco. He was the eldest child, and his siblings were Isabel, Juana, Ajana, Catalina, and Francisca. He was baptized at St. Mary's Basilica in Zactivia, where he is now honored with a statue in his memory. Okay, now we're back. Pope Leo X. Right there. Pope, his papacy was March 9th, 1513 to December 1st, 1521. His predecessor was Julius II. His successor was Adrian VI. Pope Leo X, born Giovanni di Lorenzo de Medici, was Pope from March 9, 1513 to his death in 1521. The second son of Lorenzo the Magnificent, ruler of the Florentine Republic. He was elevated to Cardinalate in the 1489, following the death of Pope Julius II. Giovanni was elected Pope after securing the backing of the younger members of the Sacred College. Early on his rule, he oversaw the closing sessions of the Fifth Council of the Lateran, but failed sufficiently to implement the reform agreed. In 1517, he led a costly war that succeeded in securing his nephew as Duke of Urbino, but which damaged the papal finances. He later only narrowly escaped a plot by some cardinals to poison him. Following the death of Pope he is probably the best remembered for granting indulgence for those who donated to reconstruction of St. Peter's Basilica, which practice was challenged by Martin Luther's 95 Theses. He seemed not to have taken seriously the array or demands for a church reform that would quickly grow into the Protestant Reformation. His papal bull of 1520, Exerge Demise, simply condemns Luther on a number of areas and made ongoing engagements difficult. He did, however, grant establishment to the oratory of divine love. He borrowed and spent heavily, a significant patron of the arts. Upon election, Leo is alleged to have said, "Since God has given us the papacy, let us enjoy it." Under his reign, progress was made on the rebuilding of St. Peter's Basilica, and artists such as Raphael decorated the Vatican's rooms. Leo also reorganized the Rome University and promoted the studies of literature, poetry, and antiquities. He died in 1521 and is buried in St. Maria sopra Minerva. Rome is he was the last pope not to have been in priestly order at the time of his election to the papacy. Who else we got? Pope Leo, right? The Intercatera, among others, it has been suggested that bulls of donation be merged into the article. Intercatera, among other works, was a papal bull issued by Pope Alexander VI on May 4th, 1493, which granted to Spain the crown of Castile and Aragon, all lands to the west and south of a pole-to-pole line, 100 leagues west and south of any of the islands of the Azores and the Cape Verdes Islands. It remains unclear to the present whether the Pope was issuing a donation of sovereignty or a feudal infeudation or investiture. Differing interpretations have been argued since the bull was issued. with some arguing that was only meant to transform the possession and occupation of the land into lawful sovereignty. Others, including the Spanish crown and the conquistadors, interpreted it in the widest possible sense, deducing that it gave Spain full political sovereignty. The Interpretary Bull and others similar to it, particularly Dum Sequidum, made up the Bull of Donations. Let's look at that Dum Sequidum. Dudum Sequidum, Latin for a short while ago. While a papal bull issued by Pope Alexander VI on September 26, 1493, one of the bulls of donation addressed to the Catholic monarch Isabella of Castile and Ferdinand II of Aragon, which supplemented the bull Interpretary and purported to grant to them all islands and mainlands whatsoever found and to be found, discovered and to be discovered, that are, may be, or may seem to be in the route of navigation or travels toward the west or south, whether they be in the western parts or in the region of the south and east of India. I'll read the background. The bull Eterni Regis of 1481, delivered by Pope Sixtus IV, had confirmed the substance of the Treaty of Alcobendas, which itself had confirmed Castile in its possession of the Canary Islands, and had granted to Portugal all further new land to be won by Christendom in Africa and the East Indies. At the beginning of the year 1492, the Christian conquest of Spain was completed by the capture of Granada. The voyages of Christopher Columbus, seeking a westerly route to the riches of the Indies, began in the summer of the same year, and on October 12th, Columbus sighted land in the West Indies, which he believed to be part of India. He returned to Spain with news of what he had found in March 1493. Columbus' discoveries in the Annals Mirabilis created a competitive frenzy between the two principal sea powers of the day, one being Portugal and the other being the new Spanish kingdom based on Castile and Aragon. A papal bull delivered on May 4, 1493, Interpretary attempted to divide the non-Christian world beyond Europe between Portugal and Spain from the point of view of future conquest, among much else it stated. Among other works, well pleasing to divine majesty and cherished of our heart, this assuredly ranks highest, that in our time, especially the Catholic faith and the Christian religion, be exalted and be everywhere increased and spread, that the health of souls be cared for, and the barbarous nations be overthrown and brought to faith itself. You should appoint to the aforesaid mainlands and islands worthy, God-fearing, learned, skilled, and experienced men, in order to instruct the aforesaid inhabitants and residents in the Catholic faith, and train them in good morals. This papal command signaled the beginning of the Spanish colonization of much of the New World. An important, although accidental, effect of the combination of this papal bull and of the Treaty of Tordesillas was that nearly all of the Pacific Ocean and all the west coast of North America, the existence of both of which was still unknown, was allotted to Spain. However, it is still unclear whether the Pope was issuing, so far as he could, a gift of sovereignty or a feudal infeudation, investiture. Differing interpretations have been argued. The Spanish also are thought to have requested an extension to what they had already been granted by the Pope, because of the foresaw that there were richer territories still to be discovered than those which were yet known. In 1493, the Portuguese ambassador Pero Diaz and Rui de Pina were in Barcelona negotiating with the Spanish over several issues, including the Portuguese intention to send a fleet to the New World to capture the islands discovered by Columbus. When Ferdinand and Isabella sent an appeal to the Pope, which resulted in granting the Dudam Sequita, dated September 26th. The day before, on September 20th, on September 25th, Columbus had sailed from Cadiz on his second voyage of exploration, and at the head of a fleet of 17 ships containing some 1,200 men. Many of them were passengers who intended to make a new life in Indies. Dudam Sequita. So this is my contribution to the Dumb Diversas request. This is my Dumb Diversas request from the brother Lex Will. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully people watch it. Peace and blessings. In the name of the Father,